The capture. Kryn was not like other boys on Earth. He didn't want to be a farmer, or a shopkeeper, or a schoolteacher. He wanted to see space. He wanted to visit other planets, meet aliens, and fly through stars. But Earth was a protected zone now. No human was allowed to leave the planet. Alien governments made the rule after the last war. Humans were called too emotional and too weak for the galaxy. Kryn didn't believe that. One night, while the sky was dark and silent, Kryn saw a strange ship land outside the forest. It was huge, tall like a mountain, glowing blue underneath. He hid behind the trees and watched as alien workers moved large metal crates into the ship. Kryn's heart beat fast. This is my chance, he thought. He ran, quiet like a shadow, and climbed into one of the crates before it closed. Inside, it was cold and smelled like oil. But he didn't care. He was going to space. Hours passed. Then, boom, the ship launched into the sky. Kryn smiled. He had done it. When the crate finally opened, everything changed. A large purple hand grabbed Kryn and lifted him into the air like a toy. His feet kicked. His arms waved. He screamed. But the alien just laughed. It was a woman. No, a giant. 13 feet tall, with 4 thick arms, glowing red eyes, and a metal chest plate. She had scars on her face and fire in her voice. "Well, well," she said. "What do we have here? A stowaway or a gift?" Kryn tried to speak, but no words came out. Another alien walked over, smaller than her, but still huge. "General Thora, should we throw it out the airlock?" Thora looked at Kryn again. Then, with a loud thud, she dropped him onto the floor and pointed. "No, this one's mine. He'll be perfect for my new training tool." Kryn looked up, confused. "Training tool?" Thora grinned. "Yes, my new resistance accessory." She grabbed him again and tied a glowing band around his waist. It hummed with energy. From that moment, Kryn's life became a nightmare. Every day, Thora used him during her workouts. She lifted him like a dumbbell, one arm, then the other. She made him run beside her while she trained, pulling a heavy metal sled. She even threw him in the air like a ball and caught him with her foot. The alien soldiers laughed and pointed. "Look at the little earthling." Thora's new toy. Kryn's body ached. His arms hurt. His feet were full of blisters. But he didn't give up. He refused to cry. He remembered what his father once told him. Even when you are weak, your mind is strong. So Kryn began watching, listening, learning. One night, after a long training session, Thora left him in a dark metal room. She called it the locker. It was cold and smelled like sweat. Kryn sat quietly. Then he heard voices outside the door. 2 alien guards were talking. "Thora really likes that human. She keeps him alive." "Yeah," the other said, "but don't forget what happens after the tournament." "What?" the first asked. "Unused training tools get recycled. Protein paste, remember, the Mushtari law." Kryn's stomach turned. Protein paste, recycled. He held his breath. His heart beat fast. "I'm going to die here," he thought, "unless I do something." That night, he didn't sleep. He planned. He needed to escape this ship. He needed to find help. He needed to survive. But how? The doors had alien codes. The hallways were full of cameras. Thora was strong, fast, and smart. Still, Kryn had one thing the aliens didn't. He was human. And humans always find a way. Human dumbbell. Kryn woke up to the sound of heavy metal doors sliding open. "Get up, tiny earthling," a deep voice growled. It was General Thora again, her giant shadow covering the entire doorway. She tossed him a piece of something green and rubbery. "Eat this. It's high in protein. You'll need strength today." Kryn looked at the alien food. It smelled like burnt fish and wet socks. Still, he forced himself to chew it. He needed energy. He needed to stay alive. Today, he told himself, I will learn something new. Thora pulled him out into the main training deck. It was a giant open area full of alien warriors, machines, weights as big as cars, and sparks flying from robot trainers. Kryn's eyes widened. Some aliens had 4 arms, some had tails, one had blades for hands. They all looked at him with smirks and laughter. Thora brought her human again. One of them shouted, He's so small. Is that her pet or a toothbrush? Everyone laughed. Thora didn't. She only smirked and strapped Kryn to her back, using a harness made from alien rope. To them, you're a joke, she said. But to me, you're progress. Then she dropped down and started doing push-ups, with Kryn strapped on her back like extra weight. 1, 2, 10, 50. Kryn felt his body bouncing up and down like a sack of potatoes. His stomach churned, but he stayed quiet. After push-ups came the runs. She made him run beside her, tied by an energy band. The band shocked him every time he slowed down. Kryn's legs burned. He fell twice. Thora didn't stop. You want to be in space, human, she grunted. Then you better learn what real power looks like. Days passed. Thora used Kryn for every type of workout. She swung him like a hammer during training fights. She tied him to her legs while doing gravity jumps. She even made him lift tiny weights just to mock him. At night, Kryn's muscles cried. His arms shook. His back felt like stone. But something strange started to happen. Kryn was getting stronger. Slowly, quietly. One night, after a brutal session, Thora tossed Kryn a strange bar made of glowing crystal. Bite it, she ordered. Kryn hesitated. What is it? Xinthium core. It rebuilds muscles. Too strong for normal humans, she said. Let's see if you survive. He took a small bite. Suddenly, heat ran through his body. His chest felt like it was burning, but not in a bad way. It was like fire, but full of energy. He stayed awake all night, doing silent push-ups in the corner of the locker. Then he tried alien squats he'd seen other warriors do. I have to prepare, he told himself. I won't die here. The next day, while being lifted in the air like a dumbbell again, Kryn noticed something. Thora's arms were shaking. She put him down and looked at her hands. You've gained weight, she said. Either you're growing, or you're adapting. Kryn smiled slightly. Maybe both. She raised an eyebrow. Not bad, human. Still useless, but not bad. Later, as they walked through the training deck, Kryn noticed 2 guards whispering again. Thora's going to the galactic tournament next month, one said. Yeah, and she's taking the human with her. What a joke. No joke, the first replied. She thinks he brings her luck, calls him her focus tool. They laughed, but Kryn didn't. Tournament. He waited until they left, then turned to Thora during meal hour. What's the tournament? She looked at him, her expression suddenly serious. A fight. The biggest one in the quadrant. Thousands of warriors. One prize. Honor. Power. Rank. You're joining? I always join, she said, tearing apart a large roasted insect-like creature. This year, I plan to win. And what happens if you lose? Her eyes narrowed. Losers die. Kryn's hands froze around his food. And me? He asked. She leaned forward. You're part of my equipment. If I lose, you get recycled like the rest. Kryn looked down. So this was it. He wasn't a guest. He wasn't a warrior. He was a tool. A lucky charm. And when luck runs out, tools get thrown away. That night, he lay awake, staring at the glowing lights on the ceiling. He remembered his old life, his home, his mother's cooking, the sky on Earth. I didn't come this far to die as someone's backpack, he thought. From that moment, he made a decision. I won't be a dumbbell. I'll become something they can't ignore. Every night, when the guards left and the lights dimmed, Kryn trained in secret. He used food crates for push-ups, alien pipes for chin-ups. He copied everything he saw Thora do. He studied alien language. He watched how doors opened. He learned which guards were lazy and when cameras shut off for maintenance. He learned. He adapted. He waited. Then, one night, he saw something that changed everything. As Thora slept in her private quarters, Kryn spotted her arm plate glowing with messages. He sneaked closer. On the screen was the tournament bracket and a file with his name on it. Equipment name: Human Unit Number 31. Purpose: Resistance Tool. Recycling date: after final match. Kryn's fists clenched. He looked at Thora. She was snoring softly, her giant chest rising and falling like a mountain. He didn't hate her. In fact, part of him respected her. But this was not his ending. Secret strength. The air inside the Mushtari warship was always thick with sweat, metal, and pressure. But tonight, something else floated in the air: change. Kryn stood silently in the shadows of the training bay, his body sore, but his mind sharper than ever. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was preparing. For weeks now, Thora had used him like a living workout tool, swinging him, lifting him, strapping him to her back, and calling him her favorite resistance. But what she didn't realize was that resistance builds strength. Every bruise taught Kryn how to move. Every insult taught him how to think. Every fall taught him how to rise. At night, after she chained him in the locker room, Kryn trained. Alone. Silently. Push-ups. Pull-ups. Alien squats. Speed drills. He had even broken apart a food tray to shape a small handweight, his own tiny dumbbell. Every night, he used it until his arms burned. He didn't want to be strong just to escape. He wanted to win. One morning, during Thora's warm-up session, something unexpected happened. She lifted Kryn over her shoulders as usual, then paused. She sniffed. "Are you heavier?" she asked. Kryn smirked. "Maybe you're just getting weaker." The alien warriors nearby burst out laughing. Thora's eyes narrowed, but instead of anger, a grin spread across her scared face. "You're developing a mouth," she said. "Good. You'll need it when you scream during the tournament." Later that day, Thora called him aside. "You've lasted longer than any tool I've ever used. You haven't broken. That's rare. Maybe you're not just lucky for me. Maybe you're lucky for yourself." Kryn said nothing. He didn't trust her. Not fully. But he also didn't hate her anymore. Thora trained like a warrior, fought like a beast, but sometimes, when no one else was looking, she treated him like a partner. Almost. One day, while sweeping the edge of the ship's hallway, just to appear harmless, Kryn spotted something shiny stuck between two panels. It was a small holographic chip. He looked around. No guards. He pressed the chip to his skin. A quiet voice spoke in his ear. "Message from Captain Saren of the Arkan Resistance. If you found this chip, you are near Mushtari territory. Beware. General Thora is undefeated in 9 tournaments. She uses live beings as part of her fighting tools. Escape is rare. Survival, even rarer." Kryn froze. A resistance group, watching Thora. He kept the chip hidden in his food pouch. Maybe, just maybe, there were people, or aliens, out there who could help. But first, he had to survive the tournament. The next week, Thora changed her routine. "We are beginning synchronized combat training," she said. "You and I will fight together." Kryn blinked. "Together." She nodded. "You are more than just weight now. You're balance. Speed. I've never trained with a human. Let's see what you can really do." And so began the new nightmare. Thora threw Kryn at combat drones like a spear. He had to land on them, punch their eyes, then roll off before lasers fired. She taught him how to slide between her legs while she kicked, how to grab her fourth arm and swing behind her like a rope. At first, he fell. A lot. But slowly, they began to move like one creature, one deadly mix of strength and speed. Alien warriors began to stop and watch. They no longer laughed. They whispered, "The human moves like water. Thora's tool is alive. Is he a fighter now?" Kryn didn't answer them. He just trained harder. One night, Thora sat beside him after a long session. Her voice was low, serious. "Do you know why I fight in the tournament?" she asked. Kryn looked up, surprised. "For honor?" "No," she said. "For control." She touched the scars on her chest. "My planet was taken by the Mushtari Empire. I was trained as a weapon. But every win, every title I earn, gives me power. Someday, I will earn enough to free my people." Kryn stared at her. "And you need me for that?" She nodded. "You are small, yes, but your unpredictability is a weapon no alien has." Kryn didn't sleep that night. Something inside him had changed. She wasn't just using him. She believed in him. But there was still a problem. He had read the recycling orders. If she lost, or if he failed her, he would be turned into paste. So he made a decision. He would train like he'd never trained before. Not for her. Not for revenge. But to become something no one ever expected. A human legend. The next day, Kryn ran faster than the shock bands. He dodged Thora's kicks. He blocked drone attacks with pieces of metal armor he'd tied to his arms. Thora watched him carefully. "You're not the same weak creature I picked up weeks ago," she said. "No," Kryn replied. "I'm better." Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. A robotic voice spoke through every hallway. "All fighters, report to Bay 9. Tournament entry begins in 24 hours. Thora stood. Kryn stood with her. Their eyes met. No more dumbbell. No more pet. No more tool. They were going to war. Together. The escape try. Kryn stood at the edge of Bay 9, his heart pounding like war drums. Alien banners waved in the air. Giant doors were being opened. Robots scanned fighters for weapons. Hundreds of warriors from different planets walked by. Some had glowing eyes, others had wings, and some were made of stone. And in the middle of them all stood a boy from Earth. Kryn, strapped to Thora's side like a tool. And yet, something inside him screamed that he was more than that now. But he had seen the file. Human Unit Number 31. Recycling Protocol. Active if General Thora fails. He was still listed as property, not a person. Thora might respect him. She might even like him. But the system didn't. The Empire didn't. And if something went wrong at the tournament, they wouldn't care how strong he was or how far he'd come. He'd die without a name. Just another used item. That night, Kryn sat alone in his locker cell. The lights above flickered. The humming of the ship felt louder than usual. He pulled out the resistance chip he had found days ago. The one from the Arkan rebels. He pressed it. The same soft voice whispered again. "If you are hearing this, and you are a prisoner of the Mushtari, find air vent channel Zeta 13. That tunnel leads to a free planet transport ship. You must escape." Kryn stared at the wall. He knew where Zeta 13 was. He had mapped it in his mind after weeks of cleaning the lower decks. It was real. His way out. His way home. But then he remembered Thora. How she had shared her story. Her scars. Her dream of freedom for her people. He remembered the way she had trained him, taught him to fight, let him eat warrior food, and even used her own time to help him grow stronger. She never had to do that. Was she just using him? Or did she truly see him as a partner? That night, Kryn didn't sleep. Instead, he waited. And when the cameras blinked off during their usual maintenance loop at 3:00 a.m., he moved. Silent like a ghost, he slipped out of his harness and used a spoon he had sharpened to unlock the gate of his cell. He had practiced this many nights in secret. Click. The door opened. He ran. down past sleeping guards, past weapon lockers, through fuel pipe tunnels. He reached the metal crawl space labeled Zeta 13. It was tight, cold, and dark, but he crawled in anyway, dragging his small bag of food and the chip. His fingers bulged from scraping metal. His body trembled with fear, but he kept going. Until he saw it, an open cargo door leading to a docking bay where a small ship blinked in the dark. One button, one launch, and he'd be free. He stepped forward, then stopped. Behind him, footsteps, big ones, and a voice. Low, cold, calm. Kryn. He turned. Thora stood there, alone, holding her combat helmet in one hand. Her glowing eyes stared at him. Her voice wasn't angry. It was sad. You were really going to leave? Kryn looked down. I saw the file. You were going to let them recycle me, just like trash. Thora stepped closer, slowly. I didn't write that file. The Empire did. You think I don't know how they treat the weak? I've seen worse. Then why keep me here? Kryn asked, his fists shaking. Why train me if I was just a part of your equipment? Because I didn't know what you were, until now. Thora took a deep breath. At first, yes, you were just resistance. But then you grew. You fought. You changed. You reminded me of myself when I was young. Small, alone, angry. She looked at him, more gently now. I couldn't stop the system, but I could protect one person inside it. Kryn felt his chest tighten. You were protecting me. She nodded. Every time I used you in public, I showed the galaxy that a human could survive, fight, even win. You became more than my tool. You became my shield, my proof that the Empire is wrong. Kryn stepped back, confused. But I don't want to die in that tournament. You won't, she said, because this year, we fight together. Silence filled the air between them. Then Kryn spoke softly. If I leave now, I could live. Hide. Be safe. Yes, Thora said, but you would always be a shadow, a ghost hiding in vents, forgotten. She held out her hand. If you come with me and fight, you could become something they will never forget. Kryn looked at the escape door one last time. It would be easy to leave. So easy. But easy was not why he came to space. He came to change everything. Kryn took a deep breath and stepped away from the escape door. He walked toward Thora and placed his hand in hers. I'm not your accessory anymore, he said. No, she replied. You're my equal. Together, they walked back into the ship. The docking door behind them hissed shut. But a different door had opened. A door to the arena. To the tournament. To a future where a human could rise in a galaxy that once saw him as nothing. Training for real. Kryn's muscles ached with every step, but his heart felt stronger than ever. He had made his choice. No more running. No more hiding. No more being used like a tool. He would stand beside General Thora, not as her weight, not as her weapon, but as her equal. The next morning, Kryn entered the training deck with his back straight and his eyes focused. Alien warriors turned to look. Some stared. Some whispered. One even laughed. But Kryn didn't care anymore. He wasn't here to impress them. He was here to become someone none of them expected. Thora stood waiting in the middle of the deck, 4 arms crossed, armor polished, and a strange glint in her eyes. She tossed Kryn a small piece of silver cloth. What's this? He asked. A uniform, she said. Made for you. Light, flexible, energy-absorbing. Kryn looked down at it. It was the first time someone had given him armor. He put it on without a word. From now on, Thora said, no more silly workouts. No more games. We train for real. Like warriors. Kryn nodded. She tossed him a training spear, heavier than it looked. Try to hit me, she said. Kryn gripped the spear, stepped forward, and swung. Thora dodged without blinking. Too slow. Again. She blocked it with one finger. Too soft. Again. She caught the spear midair and tossed it aside. Too obvious. Hours passed. Again. 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 Kryn's body was drenched in sweat. His legs felt like jelly. His arms screamed for rest, but something inside him refused to stop. "You're getting better," Thora said at last. "Still not enough," Kryn replied, breathing heavily. She smiled. "Good. Keep that fire." For the next several days, their training changed. Thora taught him how to read alien body language, how to see an attack before it came. She showed him how to use gravity shifts to his advantage, how to move faster in low oxygen, how to balance on spinning platforms. "You're not stronger than them," she said, "but you can be smarter." They trained in silence. They trained in the dark. They trained in zero gravity, where one wrong move could crush a rib or snap a neck. But every time Kryn fell, he stood up. Faster. Smarter. Stronger. One night, after a brutal training match, Kryn sat on the floor of the ship's deck, his body shaking. Thora sat beside him. "I wasn't sure about you in the beginning," she said quietly. Kryn looked at her, too tired to speak. "I've seen humans before," she continued. "Most beg, most break. But you changed. You burned." He whispered, "Because I had to. Nobody was coming to save me." Thora nodded slowly. "I wasn't coming to save you either. I just needed a tool." "I know. But you made me see you as more than that." There was a pause between them. Soft, heavy, real. "We fight together," she said finally. "But if things go bad out there, don't save me." Kryn turned sharply. "What?" "If I fall, you must keep going," she said. "You're not just my partner now. You're my proof that even the smallest voice in the galaxy can rise." Kryn didn't speak. He just nodded. The next day, they entered the final chamber, the Mind Labyrinth. A massive metal dome with blinking red lights and rotating floors. It was designed to test every fighter's focus, balance, memory, and reaction time. Thora had already passed this test in previous years, but Kryn had never stepped inside it. "You ready?" she asked. "No," Kryn admitted, "but I'm going in anyway." She smiled. "Good answer." The doors slammed shut. Instant darkness. Then, bzzz, laser lights beamed across the floor. The ground began to shift and spin. A metal platform under Kryn's feet moved like a treadmill. Another shot up, nearly knocking him down. He jumped, rolled, slid. Then, P.I.N.G. A fake enemy leaped at him from the ceiling. Kryn swung his training spear and knocked it aside. More came. One from the left. Two from behind. He used his memory training, his gravity tricks, and his pain tolerance. For 10 straight minutes, he moved like a windstorm, dodging, hitting, diving. Then silence. A green light flashed. Test complete. The doors opened. Thora stood there, arms crossed. Kryn collapsed at her feet, panting. "Did I pass?" he asked. She didn't answer. She just helped him up. That was enough. Later that night, as they prepared their gear, Thora handed Kryn a small box. "What's this?" he asked. "A gift," she said. "I made it from the metal of your original cell door." Kryn opened it slowly. Inside was a pendant, shaped like a dumbbell, but with alien symbols carved across it. He read the translation etched in human letters. "Strength is not in size. Strength is in will." Kryn closed his fingers around it. "I'll wear it in the arena." Thora looked proud. "Then you will wear my honor." The final day arrived. The whole ship was alive with noise. Fighters suited up. Weapons checked. Crowds outside the warship waited to see who would live and who would fall. Kryn looked in the mirror. He didn't see the weak boy who had snuck onto a cargo ship. He saw a warrior. Not the biggest, not the fastest, but ready. He and Thora stepped into the departure hall. Thousands of eyes stared as the gates to the galactic arena opened. Screams echoed across the galaxy. Alien commentators spoke into glowing microphones. And here comes the undefeated General Thora, and her strange human weapon once again. Will she win her 10th championship, or will the boy break under pressure? Kryn didn't listen to the noise. He just looked at Thora. She nodded once. He nodded back. Together, they stepped into the light. The tournament begins. The gates of the galactic arena opened with a deep rumble. Kryn stepped into the light, the heat from the twin suns burning down on his skin. The ground shook beneath his boots as alien crowds filled the stands. Thousands of beings from every corner of the galaxy, roaring with excitement. He felt their eyes, their judgment. Most had never seen a human before, and none had ever seen one walk beside a champion. Beside him, General Thora stood tall in full armor, her 4 arms flexed and ready. The scars on her face glowed faintly under her helmet lights. She walked like a storm, silent, powerful, unshakable. As they approached the center of the arena, a floating screen hovered above, flashing bright symbols. Round 1. Thora and Human vs Team Brelzik. Stoneborn twins, 8 feet each, weapons, axes of gravity. Kryn gulped. He had read about the Stoneborn twins in training. 2 giant warriors with rocky skin, slow but unstoppable. They crushed enemies by swinging weapons that could shift gravity, making the ground suddenly heavy or light beneath their enemies. He had trained for this, but now it was real. A loud horn blew across the arena. The first match had begun. The gate across from them opened with a hiss. The Stoneborn twins marched in, heavy as tanks, each dragging an axe the size of a car door. Their armor looked carved from mountains. Their eyes glowed orange. The crowd chanted their names. Braalzek. Braalzek. One twin pointed at Kryn. "Is that your weapon?" he asked, voice like thunder. "Or your lunch?" Thora didn't answer. She just dropped into a battle stance and pulled Kryn behind her. "Stay close," she whispered. "We do this together." Kryn nodded. The twins charged first. One swung low, aiming to crush them with his axe. The other leaped into the air, twisting gravity to make himself fall like a meteor. Kryn rolled to the side while Thora blocked the axe with her shield. Kilang! Sparks flew. Thora spun and launched Kryn into the air using one of her lower arms. He flipped, landed on the second twin's back, and jammed his shock spear into the soft gap between the rocks. DAPPP. The twin roared in pain and fell forward. The crowd gasped. Did the human just stun a Stoneborn? The other twin turned, growling, and sent a gravity wave toward Kryn. The ground under Kryn's feet turned 10 times heavier. He dropped like a stone, gasping. But Thora rushed in, grabbed Kryn, and yanked him back to her side. "You okay?" she asked. Kryn nodded, barely able to breathe. "Switch plan," she said. "New tactic. You distract. I destroy." They moved like a dance. Kryn ran left, dodging boulders and baiting the Stoneborn swings. Thora dashed right and leaped off a spinning column, flying through the air like a missile. CRACKK. She drove her spear straight through one twin's chest plate. He dropped. The other froze in shock. Kryn took the chance, ran up his arm, jumped, and slammed his staff into the twin's head. Boom! The second twin collapsed. Silence. Then, Thora and Human, Victorious. The crowd exploded in cheers and confusion. Is that human real? He fought like a shadow. The Earthling is no toy. He's a warrior. Kryn stood beside Thora, gasping for air. Round 1 was over. But this was just the beginning. Backstage, Thora gave Krynn water and a protein chip. "You did well." "You too," Krynn replied, grinning. "We made a good team." Her eyes twitched. "Don't get cocky. The next round is worse." She was right. The floating screen updated again. Round 2. Thora and Human vs. Drum Master Krieg. Cyborg Swarm Commander. Krynn frowned. "Cyborg Swarm," Thora explained. "Krieg doesn't fight with fists. He fights with machines. Dozens of them. Sharp, fast, soulless. If they touch your neck, you're done." Krynn felt a chill. "Got it," he said. "Don't get touched." The next round started fast. Metal doors opened, and hundreds of insect-shaped drones flew out like a storm. Krynn and Thora barely had time to react. Thora spun her staff, knocking drones out of the air. Krynn ducked low, using his size to his advantage, rolling under machines and stabbing upward. But there were too many. One drone cut across Krynn's shoulder. Sparks flew from his armor. Another grazed his leg. "Get to the tower," Thora shouted. "Krieg controls them from there." Krynn nodded and sprinted across the battlefield, dodging lasers and razor wings. He climbed a moving platform, then leaped onto the central control tower. At the top, he found Krieg, a half-machine alien with 6 eyes and long metal claws. "You're just a kid," Krieg hissed. "Go home." Krynn raised his weapon. Not anymore. They fought. Krieg slashed with claws, but Krynn moved fast, using the gravity spin technique Thora had taught him. He ducked, spun, and drove the staff into Krieg's control core. Spark! The drones froze. Thora crushed the last few with a roar. Victory again. The crowd had changed. They no longer laughed. They cheered for Krynn. But then, something went wrong. As Krynn and Thora walked back to the prep room, an armored official approached. His face was hidden behind a silver mask. "The council wants to speak with you," he said. "In the middle of the tournament?" Thora asked. The official turned to Krynn. "No, only the human." Krynn looked at Thora. She nodded slowly. "Go. I'll be waiting." Inside the council chamber, Krynn found himself standing in front of 5 alien leaders. Tall, silent, powerful. The one in the center leaned forward. "You are not registered as a warrior," he said. "Only as equipment." Krynn's fists clenched. "I fight. I bleed. I win. Doesn't that make me one?" The aliens whispered among themselves. Then the leader raised a hand. "You may continue. But know this, if you win, we cannot allow a human to claim a warrior's title. Earth is still under sanction. You will not be honored." Krynn stared at them, his voice firm. "Then I don't fight for honor. I fight to prove you wrong." When he returned, Thora was waiting. "What did they say?" she asked. "They're scared," Krynn said. Thora smiled. "Good. Winner's choice." The arena was quiet. Too quiet. The final match was about to begin, and the entire galaxy held its breath. Krynn stood beside General Thora, both of them bruised, dusty, and exhausted from the earlier rounds. But their eyes were locked, their stances steady, and their bond stronger than ever. The floating screen above flashed bright red. Final round. General Thora and Human vs. Lord Vexor, champion of the void. Krynn had never heard that name before, but when the gates opened, he understood why. Lord Vexor walked in like a shadow made of blades. He was tall, taller than Thora, with long black armor that shimmered like smoke. His eyes were hidden behind a jagged silver mask. He held no weapon. He was the weapon. As he stepped forward, the crowd went silent. Even the announcers paused. "This is unexpected. He hasn't fought in years. Why would the council send Vexor now?" Thora whispered, "He's not a warrior. He's a killer." Krynn's throat went dry. "Why send him now?" "Because," she said slowly, They want to make sure you don't survive. The match started without a signal. Vexor moved like lightning. No warning, no mercy. He appeared behind Krynn in an instant and slammed him across the arena like a toy. Krynn hit the wall, hard. His chest armor cracked. Thora charged, roaring, swinging her staff. But Vexor caught her mid-swing, twisted her arm, and threw her over his shoulder. The crowd gasped. No one's ever thrown Thora. What kind of speed is that? Krynn got to his feet, blood in his mouth. We can't win this head-on, he thought. He's too fast. He looked at Thora. She gave him a small nod, her body crouched low. Without a word, they separated, splitting across the battlefield, moving in perfect sync. Krynn baited Vexor, throwing his staff like a spear. Vexor dodged, just as planned. Thora leaped from above, striking with all four arms. Crack! One of Vexor's shoulder plates shattered. But he didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed Thora by the neck and slammed her into the ground. Krynn screamed, charging with fury. He jumped, rolled, and used his smaller size to dive under Vexor's legs, stabbing into the open part of his armor with his shock blade. Zapp. Vexor jerked back, but didn't cry out. Instead, he grabbed Krynn by the arm and whispered something cold. You are not supposed to exist. Then he tossed Krynn high into the air. The fall would have killed him. But at the last moment, Thora, still barely conscious, caught him with one arm. She fell again, this time not moving. Krynn looked down at her face. Blood ran from her lip. Her armor was cracked. Her breathing was shallow. He stood up, alone. Vexor turned slowly, walking toward him. You don't belong here, he said. You are not a warrior. You are not even a citizen. Krynn didn't speak. He reached down and took Thora's broken staff. Half the length. But enough. The crowd was on its feet. What is he doing? He can't fight Vexor alone. The announcers shouted, the human has taken up Thora's staff. But Krynn heard none of it. He walked forward. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Vexor struck first, claws slicing through the air. But Krynn had seen it before. In training. In dreams. In fear. He ducked. Rolled. Blocked. Then he hit back. The first strike cracked Vexor's mask. The second knocked the claws from his hand. The third, Krynn drove the staff into Vexor's chest, right into the power core. Boom! A shockwave rippled across the arena. Vexor collapsed, smoke pouring from his armor. Silence. Then, Victory. Korean, N-G-N-E-O-R-A-L-T-H-O-R. Win. The crowd didn't cheer right away. They just stared. Then slowly, a single voice shouted, the human, the human. Then another, Krynn, Krynn, Krynn. Then all of them, Korean, Krynn, Krynn. Medical drones rushed in to help Thora. Krynn sat beside her, holding her hand. Her eyes fluttered open. You won, she whispered. No, Krynn said. We did. Hours later, after healing and rest, Krynn and Thora were brought to the central podium. The arena lights dimmed. A voice echoed from above. One of the alien council leaders stood tall, face hidden. You have won the tournament. According to tradition, the champion is granted a single request. One wish, any reward. Krynn stepped forward. I have a wish, he said. The entire galaxy listened. The council leader nodded. Speak it. Krynn took a deep breath. Remove my name from the equipment registry. I want to be recognized, not as a tool, not as cargo, but as a warrior, a free person. Gasps filled the arena. Even Thora looked shocked. The council leader paused. That is not allowed. Earth remains under. I didn't ask for Earth, Krynn interrupted. Just for me. He looked around. I fought, I bled. I stood when your champion fell. I ask for my name to stand here as a warrior of the galaxy. Silence. Then Thora stepped forward. If you deny him, then you deny me. I fought with him. I trained him. He is the only reason I stand here breathing. She raised her hand. If you reject him, you reject all I stand for. More silence. Then the council leader raised both arms. So be it. He turned to the crowd. From this day forward, the human named Krynn shall be recognized not as equipment, but as a warrior of the galaxy. The crowd roared. Krynn, Krynn, Krynn. Later, back in their ship, Krynn sat quietly, holding the old dumbbell-shaped pendant Thora had given him. He whispered, from workout accessory to warrior. Thora laughed softly beside him. Not bad for a stowaway. Krynn looked at her and smiled. Not bad for a general with 4 arms and a soft heart. They flew off into the stars. Partners. Legends. Proof that even the smallest voice can shake the galaxy.